Now we're on day 8 through 10 plus. So there's 2 approaches. Based on your baby, based on your sleep philosophy, your tolerance, your ability to walk out of the room or to need to still be in that room, you will either on day 8 through 10 plus, once you have gone through your bedtime routine and put your baby to bed, you will either go to the door and stay in the room, or you will go outside the door and close the door and wait to listen. And again, don't let your baby get to a 10, but listen carefully to your baby's cries, because by this stage in the game, your baby will be on her way to be self-soothing. So should she be crying and it's been 5 minutes and you're like, oh, it's 5 minutes, I better go. Listen very carefully to that cry, because if it's starting to settle, do not go back in. You must give your baby the opportunity to use the skills that you're teaching her. If you're rushing in to do it for her, you're not giving her that opportunity. So whether you're standing inside the room still, listening, and going back to the crib, you will do the pick up. You will no longer shush and pat on days 8 through 10 plus. You will no longer use any shush or pat. You can use your words, go to sleep, but there's no shushing, patting. Remember, we're removing intervention. We're doing less and less. So you will pick up. You can use your words. The minute she settles, down she goes. Back either to the door or outside the door. Listen very carefully. Don't let her get to the 10. You will go back, pick up, down, and the biggest thing to remember here by days 8 through 10 plus is, and I say 10 plus because your baby is going to be progressing and you might not need all of these days. Your baby might have started sleeping through the night by now. However, I like to just go through all of these days should you need them. So just to review, it's day 8 through 10 plus. You've put your baby down. You're either at the door or outside the door. You're listening carefully. Before she reaches the 10, you go back to the crib. You will pick up, no longer shush, no longer pat. You may use your words. Hold her over your shoulder in the stationary position, and down she goes, and back you go either to the door or outside the door, and you'll repeat until she goes to sleep. You will notice that you will be able to wait longer and longer before needing to pick up, and you will also notice that it's going to take less and less time for her to even need to be picked up in order to go to sleep. If you're consistent, if you're following through, if you're setting these very strong but gentle boundaries based on a holistic approach to her entire life, you will find that she will be starting to settle and sleep on her own. Some of the things that I like to tell my parents during this process, especially my dads, is to remember to not parent out of the poor baby syndrome. You're not hurting your baby. This isn't medicine. You're not telling your baby you don't love her. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You're standing by her, showing her you're there to support her through this process, and that you know she's finding it difficult to fall asleep, but you're there to help her through it. Dads can easily fall into this poor baby syndrome, whether it's with their baby girl or baby boy. So it's important to keep this in the back of your mind, that you're not feeling guilty by helping your child to develop self-soothing and independent sleep skills. Remember, don't pick her up until she's very, very upset. Don't hold her past the point of her settling. And if you feel like giving up, and just say, I can't do this, remember that what does that mean if you give up right now? That would mean that you're going to be right back where you started. And what does that mean for the next night and the night after that and the night after that? That means you're going to be doing the same thing. So it's important, again, to press the go button when we know we're not giving up. We're going to keep going until we've reached our sleep goals. It's really, really vital. So that is the pick up, put down method that we would use for babies 4 months to about 7 or even 8 months, depending on your baby size. Once your baby becomes too big to continue to pick up and put over your shoulder, then we're going to convert it to just a put down. So we're going to do the same thing that we at 8 months and beyond. Follow the bedtime routine, put them to bed at the appropriate time, lay her down, and stand next to the crib, because we're still going to attend to them days 1 through 3. But the difference will be is that we're not going to pick her up when she becomes upset. Instead, we're just going to put her down. So when do we put her down? Well, when she's sitting up on her own or she stands up on the crib on her own. At that point, you're going to lay her back down with her face away from you. Lay her back down. Use your nighttime words. You can use a firm hand on her. Good night, darling. I love you. You're just going to sleep. Stop and stand next to the crib. Again, this is not social hour. They are going to want to engage you. Look at a different wall if need be. You will repeat this process. She'll either sit up or she'll stand up. When you get to pick her up, or should pick her up, I should say, is if she has escalated to that 10. At that point, pick up that child and put her over your shoulder. Stand stationary. You may pat, you may shush, this is day 1 through 3. You may use your nighttime words, but the second she settles, down that baby goes. Then you will wait. If she sits up, she stands up, down she goes. Repeat this process until she has worn herself out and she knows what you expect, that you're not going to be taking her out and sitting on the rocking chair or feeding her or bouncing her on a ball, that mommy and daddy expect you to go to bed. And this is, I know you're finding it frustrating. I'm here to help you. And repeat until she goes to sleep. For your older babies, again, I like you for day 1 through 3 to stay until they are in a deep sleep. Just in case they wake up, it's instilling that trust. Mommy's right here, go back to sleep. So for our 8-month and beyond babies, it's day 4 through 7. We're going to move towards the middle of the room again, and repeat the process. If she sits up, you'll lay her down. If she stands up, you'll lay her down. If she reaches escalated to a 10 prior to that, go to her, pick her up, put her over your shoulder. The second she settles down, down she goes, back to your station. That's day 4 through 7. Leave when she goes to sleep. Day 8 and beyond, again, I leave it up to my parents. If you're a parent that needs to still stay in the room for the next few nights just to make sure everything's good, go ahead, stay in the room, put her to bed, go to the door, repeat the process, wait till she sits up, wait till she stands up, put her back down. You're only using your voice to help her. There's no longer when you have to pick her up, shushing and patting. You're only using your voice. And why is this so important? Because as your child develops and establishes her independent sleep, you'll only have to go say through the door, honey, it's just bedtime, go to sleep. You'll have taught your child that your voice is the most comforting tool you have. So that's why you start using just your voice and you don't interact the shushing and patting with it. So you might not need 8 through 10 plus. But should you, that is how you're going to handle it. Then it's time to leave the room. When it's time to leave the room, let's just say you've decided day 10, now I'm going to put her down and I'm going to leave the room. Again, listen very carefully to your baby's cries. She will be able to stay longer and need you less and need less and less intervention. So it's very imperative that you listen to make sure you're not jumping the gun. You want to give her the opportunity to use those skills. So if she's, and then she's going, and it's time to go in, don't go in. Give her the opportunity to go to sleep on her own. Should she wake up prior to that feed, that age-appropriate feed overnight, you're going to use that put-down method for your older baby. Should she wake up after her feed, age-appropriate feed, you will use your put-down method until it's time to either feed her in the morning or she goes back to sleep. Again, it's hard in the morning. So we'll say she wakes up at 5:30 and it's been a long night. And now what? You got to do put down again? You do. There won't be many nights of that, but sticking to your plan and holding her off, even if you can hold her off to 6 o'clock to feed her, you're better off. Okay? So do the best you can to hold her off by using your put down method for your older babies so that you're feeding her closer to the time you want her to start her day. That way her body will wake her up when it's time to start her day. Pick up, put down is about reassuring and instilling trust. So if it takes 50 times, if it takes 100 times, aren't you willing to do that in order to help your baby learn these skills, in order to tell your baby, hey, I'm here, I'm helping you, I know you're finding it hard, but I'm here to help you. So it's really important to stick with it. I know it's hard.